the title, so, you know. But anyways,
God damn it.
yeah, I think he's out cold, or he's away from the console still doing stuff. But
Okay, well, I'm at the lamp.
what was I gonna say? Another one of the things about what we were talking about is the movements when it comes to. I guess we can go to the point of the LGBT movement. When it comes down to it, I understand their point of view. Don't get me wrong, I do. But, you know, it's the sort of thing to where, you know, if they were to come up to me and they asked about it, yeah, I mean, technically they would think I'd be part of their movement because, yes, I am bisexual, that sort of thing. But what they have to realize is that if you notice most people that are in that movement and stuff like that, it comes down to the point of, most of them don't care about your sexuality, so you don't need to go, you know, parading it through the streets. You want to have Pride Month, go for it. That's your festivities, that's your thing. Don't, you know. When it comes to my views, you can be with whoever you want to be. Just don't come throwing it in my face,
on
trying
my door, like, hey, you should be liking cock. Like,
yeah, that sort of thing.
White male. Well,
yeah.
I'm a straight half white male, so like, I don't.
Yeah, they're gonna see you as nowadays. They would see you as a threat to them as people.
I'm
what
really
they're
not a threat. Like,
I mean, as I said, we don't
so like,
we don't care whether you you want to be with a woman, you want to be with a man, or you know, a transsexual or anything of the sort. No one.
I have you as a bisexual friend. I have another friend who's bisexual. I have one who's straight up gay. I dated a bisexual girl. Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no one. Most people don't care when it comes. When you think about it, with
3 years.
Well, when it comes down to it, and you think about it, the way that they're doing things, they're saying that they're oppressed, which in some ways, some of their people are oppressed. Don't get me wrong, some are. Most people don't recognize transsexuals as people, which is weird because they are people. They're just, you know, they just switch genders, which is. You do your thing. You want to be a dude, be a dude. You want to be a woman, yeah, it's a little weird in my view. I mean,
but it's their
choice, their body. Do what you want. So on and so forth. But it comes, as I said, it all boils down to the thing of them, the way they're trying to win people over. Yelling at people just because they're not siding with you, or because they're straight and they're not, you know, walking a straight line instead of going off and branching off in different directions and quote-unquote experimenting, doesn't mean they're against you. Okay, that's fine. It comes down to the point of, shit, I lost my train of thought again.
It comes to the point of don't yell in my face. Like,
yeah, just don't come. Like, I'll respect you as a person, like, wanting to do with what you want to do. That's your choice, that's your decision to do that. Don't come yelling at me and talking, like, come up to me going sideways just because I don't, you know, support your views or your opinion on things. You do you. My problems are completely different than yours. The way I see it, with the way they're doing, they're trying to get as many people to help them. But what they don't realize is that for the most part, these people are complete strangers to them. Which, those complete strangers have their own set of problems. And with the way they're trying to do things, they want that stranger to drop everything they're doing and support them 100% with every fiber in their body. When the stranger has, you know, could have many different things. If they're a younger person like me and you, they could have rent, they have to worry about food, maybe a first 1 or 2 jobs to worry about to get to on time. They have to worry about family and friends that, you know, might be hurt or something like that. So they have a number of things on their plate. And if it's an older person, they have more than enough things to deal with already. They could have bills, they have, you know, taxes, house payments, a family potentially to support. They could have, you know, elderly they need to take care of, that sort of thing. Other types of bills that have enough on their plate to a point that could make a person's hair go silver gray type color because there's so much stress. And these people are wanting to drop everything to support them, as if this, like, if I was a stranger and somebody came up to me asking them for a full support to drop everything, I'm not going to drop my problems just because you're annoyed with your standpoint in life.
Right.
I have my own things to deal with. Like, I would have, I have my own family to worry about. I have friends to look out for and, keep up
I
with.
have my own
I
bills, I
have
have my own
everything I
family, I
have to
have
deal
my
with
own
on my own
friends.
plate. I don't need to add your problems onto it. You're a
I'm gonna
stranger
do
to
what I
me. I
can.
know I don't
Look,
most people don't even know each other's names or anything of the sort. It might
like
be a first
I
name
feel your,
based.
it's
Yeah,
like I
you can
feel your
feel
problems,
the
but
problems, their pain, that sort of thing, but I'm not going to drop everything I'm doing to full on support you with everything I've got and every bit of potential financial or, mental support for you. I'm not going to do it because, one, I might have to put that financial stuff everywhere else for bills, rent, groceries, food, clothes on my back, and all that kind of stuff. And my mental support and like thoughts and all that kind of stuff might need to go like to worry about friends, family, the future of my own life and all that kind of stuff. Sure, I mean, as you said, I understand where you're coming from. Sure, do you, but I'm not gonna stop and drop my own problems to help you. That's a complete stranger to me.
exactly.
That I barely know, that you've only told me your first name and that's it.
Alright, question,
It's,
are you gonna join me on Dark Souls?
well, I've got a stream going, so I'll have to join later.
I mean, you can just bring it back up.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it, so I'm just gonna chill here for the time being. I'll be on in a little bit, on there in a little bit, but and it comes another point to it comes down to, the thoughts of like they don't seem to understand that they're more than a. I oh hi Vi, you have another name now. It comes down to the point of they have their own things to deal with. Sure, so do I, but I've lost my train of thought. I don't know where I'm going now.
My
There were
bad.
so many different branching things that I just was gonna go off on that I've completely lost track.
But
Oh,
like,
it's them
I have my
saying
own problems.
they're like their own, that they're oppressed, which I can understand. Most of their things are. Don't get me wrong. Most people don't recognize transsexuals as people because that's just their own viewpoints. There's the Christian people that they don't like homosexuals in that way, but that's because that religion's been like that for what, hundreds of thousands of years, since it was like one of the first to come around.
Yeah,
That's
so
fun,
like,
but so and then there was the whole thing with them trying to trying to ban, like trying to get Chick-fil-A's chain shut down because they wouldn't serve homosexual people because they're a Christian-centered chain, and that's how it is. And and stuff like that. And then they were trying to trying to put the Bible as a hate symbol and that sort of thing, which to them, yeah, it is, sure, but I mean, it's more of a mental and their own mental choice to view that another person's beliefs as their own right to them. It's that person's right to choose their religion, to believe in what they want to believe in. Now, me being raised as in the Christian family that I am, I have been around some of the biggest Christians I can think of with my family. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was around like the 6th or 7th grade that I decided to, denounce that because I was just like, I don't agree with what's going on. With multiple points being with that is I didn't want to credit everything I did to a man that I've honestly never been proven that's up there and that might not actually ever be there. Two, I didn't really agree with, with the way they judged everyone that wasn't Christian. Like, the times that I've been out in public with my grandfather, he looks at people that have a lot of tattoos, people that have dyed hair, in a way that look like they're some type of hell spawn that literally just crawled out of the depths to come roam the earth. And I never understood it because it's that own person's own personal choice. It's whatever. It's their body. They can put what they want on when it comes to tattoo. They can change the hair the way they want. It's the reason those things are around. But I've never been one to, judge a person without getting to know them. Before I make a judgment, I'd like to be able to somewhat get to talk to a person. Or even, like, to a point
exactly.
of read about them, even, so I can learn about their life, and then I'll make a judgment call whether I want to be near this person, or I should steer away from them. That's what it comes down to when it comes to, like, Christianity and that sort of movement. is you're not. The one thing about it is that you're not going to be able to ban a religion that's been here for thousands of years, and technically is one of the founding things of the United States of America, because the people that came here, that the first settlers of it, I'm pretty sure some of the first settlers, anyways, were Christian people. I'm pretty sure.
Oh
I
no,
could
they're
be,
very Christian.
yeah, and it's as I said, it's an own person's right to believe what they want to believe. It's their right. You don't get the right to say that this doesn't work, so you're not allowed to do this. You want that sort of thing, go to like the Middle East, because that's about the only other place I can think of that would do that, other than like North Korea. But and it comes down to another thing about them, that the number one thing about their movement that bothered me is their gender fluid thing. Their whole shit with like the 52 genders or some shit like that. And if if you looked at their diagrams, it literally showed that a person can have a male like torso, legs, and right arm, but only their left arm is female. Which I didn't understand that, because I thought about it. I was like, that doesn't make sense. There's, as far as I'm concerned, there's maybe 3 genders. There's the male and the female, and then there's the very, very off chance that you're born as, I think they're called like hermaphrodites or some shit, where they have both. And that's like an off chance that happens. And it's very rare, that I think, but this is surface knowledge because I'm not a biologist or anything like that. But the thing is that if I remember correctly, this started with that one blonde bitch that's made the YouTube video or whatever the fuck about it, right? That went viral or some shit.
Yeah, the one that's like there's 52 genders.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But
100.
if I remember correctly, I don't think she's in any sort of way, a biology major or anything like that, or has any type of education in that field. If I'm guessing at most, she probably has like a liberal arts major or something like that.
So that's the thing that like made me lose respect for people like
that believe that hardcore, like it was like written in like chiseled by hand, like a bleeding hand into a stone, or like written in blood onto a stone, and that was now like a holy symbol to them. It's the thing is, that woman, that unless she somehow can show cold hard proof that she's studied it, she's proved it, and all that kind of stuff, she doesn't get the right to throw out hundreds, potentially thousands of years of study on the human body and what it is just out the window, because she feels like, sure, let's do it this way because it's weird and fun and I want to do something different and change people's views. At first, when I first heard of it, I thought it was a joke. Like, literally somebody just dared her to do this and she was just super happy to do it because she thought it was funny. And then I realized she was dead-ass serious. And it really, really confused me. Because then I started looking into it, and I was like, did she not have like a biology class in like high school or some shit like that, to where she learned at least a little bit about it, or something of the sort? But
yeah, see, it's things like that made me realize that like I lost a lot of respect for Bill Nye. Like, he was
Bill Nye.
known.
That's why everybody's been calling him Bill Nye the sellout guy, because they're now like, he's gender like light is on a spectrum. It's like, the fuck? That's not, no. You were the science guy that literally like a couple of years ago said that, like, no, this is how it's done. But now that you're being paid to say this, you're just like, screw. I'm not gonna stick to my guns. I'm getting paid. But it's just a basic thing in my eyes that, like, when it comes to them just trying to make up stupid facts like that, that's what makes me lose, respect for the movements. Because then I'm like, there's no point for me to follow you, or like, support you in some sort of way, whether it be the smallest amount of support or the full support that you might have gotten from me. Which brings us back to the point of, the Black Lives Matter thing. They say that they're against people for, like, symbols of slavery and stuff like that, but then they'll tear down statues and deface statues of, like, Lincoln and Ulysses S. Grant, the people that fought for their freedom, and tried to get that, the 14th Amendment ratified and all that kind of stuff.
Which was, like, the dude who literally
broke out of chains, or set free from chains, taught himself to read, and, fought for the freedom and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure they defaced a statue of him. I don't fully remember. Okay, they did. So you can tell that they're not following their own, their own guidelines. They're just being mad to be mad. That's the end of it. And I'm pretty sure before all this writing, they were given solutions of like what could happen, and all they had to do was say, okay, this will work. But they chose to, refuse them just so they can be mad. And as I said, it comes down to another thing of, I don't think these movements would be nearly as big, or they would have as much of a following as they would if there wasn't so much, live like news media attention to them. Because now these people that are in them are getting like, oh, I'm on TV, that stuff like that. Let's keep doing it. Maybe more and more people can do it, so on and so forth. If they weren't given so much media attention, they probably wouldn't be nearly as big, or as a force of anything as they would be as they are now. So it comes down to the point of, it's when it comes to the media, it's basically just biased things. Of course, you won't ever hear anything truthful on the news anymore. They'll read half the
No.
story, they'll tell you half the truth, and make up the rest because there's no such thing as quality reporting anymore.
This is one of the reasons why I broke up with my ex, so she wanted whatever made her money, which
Yeah,
I despise.
I'm not gonna do anything like, if it when it comes down to it, as the thing goes, find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life, type of thing.
I believe
I
that.
don't, as I said, I don't. When it comes to jobs, I don't know what I want to do. I really don't. I haven't made a choice because I honestly
I
don't
feel
know
like
what I
you'd be a
could do.
great developer. Not even gonna lie.
Well, fair enough, but it comes down again and boils down to a point to where, if it makes me money, sure, I'm happy. I'm able to support myself and potentially a family later on, sure. But I'm gonna do something that I'm going to enjoy because it's something I want to do, not just because it makes me money. Like most one percenters that are out there
I
and
want to
stuff
be
like
able
that.
to do what I want to do. I could make $15,000 a year with something that makes me happy. Fuck it,
Hundred
let's do it.
percent, it'd be easy. I'd be like, screw it, I'm happy. What are you gonna do? But it's most people's view nowadays is the only thing that's worthwhile is fame and fortune. People want to be million
Unfortunately.
to billionaires, that sort of thing, and they always want to be in the limelight of everyone, the spotlight of everyone, and they have to have attention. Whereas with like me and you, we don't really care whether people know what we do, but as long as they somewhat know what we've done, we're okay with it. See, the one thing I know I want to do is, I don't want to leave this plane of existence, I guess, with me knowing that I did nothing in life. I do want to leave some sort of a mark on the world in some sort of way, whether it be in the smallest way possible, just making someone's day brighter in some sort of way. I want to be able to do something, just for me to be in some sort of way remembered by, I guess.
For me, when it comes to my work, I try every day to make things better. So when it comes to my work, like I try to make things easier for everybody there. When it comes to just a regular associates. Now, yes, I am a part of management team, but something of the thing that people always forget, that I started there as a part-time employee begging for hours.
Yeah, that's where most people
So,
start at when it comes to like them working up the ranks. They start as literally the lowest of the low. When it comes to a regular, like,
I
you
started
know,
the lowest of the
like
low,
when it
dude,
comes to
like,
like
for
any
real.
type of corporate thing, if you were to work in a regular office building that has the cubicles, most of the time, if you're starting out as a part-time, you'll either start as an intern
No,
or like some type of mailroom person or something of the sort, and you'll slowly work out your way up to the ranks until you're some type of like, either you get
and
good enough to be a
it's the
CEO, or
determination
it's
that kills
perseverance
you.
and determination, a lot of perseverance and determination, and
That's a
willingness
lot
to
for sure.
and a willingness to fight for what you think you somewhat deserve in life.
And see, everywhere I've gone, whether it be ROTC or the Navy, I've always been in a position of management leadership in some way. Now, when I came to Ross, I had other expectations, but I saw an opportunity when I came to this store in Magnolia, and I took my chance. And so,
Easily.
when it comes to the regular employees, people who work there every day, people like I was, just going there, just trying to make their day, just trying to go through the day because they don't want to be at work. I don't want to be at work.
Nobody really
Uh,
wants to like
no one
full
wants to work.
on work for everything. They want to get to a point where they can, they can just come to work, have some fun, and then go home and relax.
Right.
But
So
not everyone
I
gets that
do.
chance to do that in
No one gets
life.
that chance. I work my fucking ass off. I do more than most people in that store. I have one of the hardest jobs in the store other than assistant manager because I have to do everything that everybody does. So when people come to me complaining, I'm like, okay. So, but
Yeah,
I
what do you
also,
want me to do, sort of
what
thing.
do you want me to do about it? So like, I'm also the same dude who is, you asking for hours? Okay, show me. I
That
am
you
the lowest
deserved the
person
hours.
I am the lowest person that you need to pay honor, pay respect for. So if you can show me, of all people, that you deserve that these hours that I'm getting, I will give you my fucking hours because if I feel like you deserve it, if I feel like I'm gonna be able to be less stressed, where I don't have to work as much, and I feel like I can lay some responsibility on you, so that we can evenly distribute the responsibility of keeping this store afloat. And we are an award-winning store in our company. We can keep that expectation high. I'm gonna give you some responsibility. I'm gonna give you the hours. I'm gonna stick my neck out for you. You just gotta hold up your end of the deal. That's all I
Yeah,
ask.
as you said, it's
I'm
merely
gonna
it's
stick
a
up for you
mental
if you stick up for
choice.
me.
It's a mental choice to be willing to stand up and stand your ground and fight for what you
Say,
think you believe in and stuff like that.
you
All
stand
that
up and say, no, I ain't giving up. Give me my hours. I want to work. I want to make some progress.
you have to
People
have
gotta
quite a bit
respect
of
that.
audacity to willingness to stand up against one of the most like a powerful thing, which is just life. Life is a very powerful and unpredictable thing. And I mean unpredictable. You can never truly foretell what will happen in the future. You may
Never.
think that you can, but you never can. It's impossible because everything that can happen. The thing, it's the butterfly effect. You could do something today that can take you potentially down three different paths, if at the lowest minimum type of thing. Lowest to the maximum, hundreds of different paths that can lead to a different memory or something of that sort in life.
Like, like today, like I took the nap. I took a nap today. If I wouldn't have taken that nap, I'd be asleep right now.
Exactly.
But,
But you did, so you're here doing this shit with me. And Dwayne, technically, but I think he's asleep. So,
but yeah, so, like, that was, that's one thing. Like, I could have been asleep by now,
Uh,
get ready for
you know,
tomorrow, but I'm not because,
another example of is, I could have taken the time to get my license back when I lived in Magnolia, when I was a junior in uh, high school. When I turned 16, I could have gotten my license right that year if I really, really wanted to, but I didn't because I wanted to take the time to focus on my school grades to make sure I was able to get through. And especially when it comes to that, when it comes to school grades, my senior year was the hardest year of my life, merely because I had so many different things to think about. As as you know, Seth, my grandmother had cancer at that point in time, and she was getting worse and worse. That sort of thing. So I had that to deal with. I had to worry about school. I had, potentially what if my grandmother were to, pass away, the mental state that my grandfather might have gone into, the mental state of other people in my family might have gone into, and if I had to make a decision whether to be there or not, and just move on with my life the best I can. Where, in the time of when she did pass, uh, I had to make a mental choice to, it's a choice to whether you need to grieve and mourn, most people do with, tears and, loathing around, trying to, wallowing in self pity is the best way I can describe it. Or I can, before it happens and she does pass, to brace for it, get ready, like it's inevitable that it's going to happen as of now. And when she did pass, I cried for a good 2-3 minutes, and then I dried it up, and I had to move on with some sort of way because I knew that my grandmother would not want me to cry constantly because she's gone. Because beforehand, when during school when I was failing, math, and I didn't think out nearing the end of the year, I didn't think I was going to graduate. I honestly felt like I was a disappointment, which, leads into a whole other story. And honestly, I'm getting kind of choked up talking
But
about this.
you grew up and you did what you had to do,
I
and you
had to
fucking
grow up
graduated.
pretty. I had to grow up, like, right then and there. I had to make the choice to either grow up or I was going to stay a child forever.
You had to make the choice between manning up
Or or
and
falling down
supporting
into
your family,
or
or falling down and
spiraling back
failing.
down into whatever dark hole that I was in before.
Exactly. So you made that decision, and your
And
family is better off in the long run because you made that decision. Now, you may have suffered, but your family as a whole, as a team effort, your family is better now.
yeah, I don't mean to, brag about it, but I do feel like I feel like I'm sort of a rock to at least my grandfather. Keeping him
You
stable,
are.
keeping him moving, and trying my best to get him to laugh or smile or mess around in some sort of way. I'm doing the best I can. The only way I know how to do it is when he needs to talk, to be that soundboard, to listen, put input in when he wants it, that sort of thing. And that's the thing about, as far as I can tell, with what I've seen about my family, each of my family members, as far as I can tell, shows grief in a different way. My grandfather shows it by, hanging up pictures of family and stuff like that. He's shown it by, paying respects. He's gone to the cemetery almost I think every month on the 15th for like the past since she's passed away.
This
Every
has been
month on the
about 2 or 3
15th.
years from now.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I don't know the exact time. Every month on the 15th, he's gone to the cemetery, he's paid his respects, and he's usually there for anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a time when he goes. And when he comes back, yeah, he's real quiet, but I'm never the one to, push him to talk about it. I'm not going to pry in his own thing if he has his own way of mourning and grieving for it. I mean, don't those two were married for 47 years, I think, in total, which is a hell of a long time.
Yes, it
47
is.
years. That's
That's
insane.
that is insane. Most marriages fail within the
But
first 2 years. So
yeah,
depend
especially
like
nowadays. Like,
nowadays, it's
and
usually
he
in the
met
first
her.
year.
If I remember his story, he met her at church. I think it was his best friend introduced him to her, and on that day, I'm pretty sure his story goes that he decided that she was the one that he was going to marry. Right then and there, the second they introduced each other and made eye contact, that's when he made the decision.
And I can feel that because like whenever I first started dating Andrea,
Yeah,
like I genuinely
that's.
was like, look, like snap, like she's the one. But
I mean,
you know,
as I said before, life
with
is unpredictable, and
relationship,
what happens.
the life is unpredictable,
And
and
especially,
even
people are unpredictable. You may think you know someone, but I mean,
they can change. We dated for 3 years.
old
It can
Japanese
change.
saying, Seth. There's an old Japanese that you have three, or Asian saying. I don't actually know if it's Japanese, that you have three faces. One you show to the world, one you show to close friends and family, and one you show nobody. And those are the three things. The face, like, I can tell you right now, the face that I show to the world is usually, I'm a very quiet person. I don't talk very much, and I don't speak unless spoken to in some sort of way. Friends and family, of course, you know that face. I'm a fucking idiot. And of course, there's a whole other side to me that no one, not even you or Alexi, has ever seen in your lives. And I don't intend to let you in on what that is for a reason.
Everyone has those.
Yeah, and the reason I can tell you that the reason I do it is because I know deep down when I think about it, if you were to ever know that side of me, it would put more worry and, especially with Lexi, it would put more worry and fear into her heart and mind that something might
Especially
happen to
Lexi.
me.
Because
Because
if
I mean,
there's there's parts to everybody. I'm sure there's parts to Dwayne. I know there's parts to you because you've suffered just as much as I am in a way.
well,
Like
like when it
you
comes
know
to
me. Like
family and, like, job wise and stuff like that, I have not suffered at all when it comes to that.
when it
But
comes
if
to
it
an
comes
emotional
to
spirit, when you're
emotional and
losing family
mental type
members,
of thing, like emotional and mental health, yeah, I feel like had quite a number done.
you've had your fair
But
share of
at yeah
problems.
yeah at this point, it's become to when it comes to like back in school, you'd get bullied at, at first, yeah, sure, the first few years of like my actual like grade, like kindergarten through five, yeah, it bothered me. Sure, sixth through eighth grade, it was like, yeah, it's still, it's there. But once I
It's
hit high
there.
school, you're numb to it. It's another day.
You're just like, come on, bitch. What else? What
I
new you
mean,
got?
and the only thing I got made fun of for is my weight. And that was it.
But you
That
made
was the end.
friends who
I
didn't give
was
a
just
shit.
like, what do you? I'm like, what do you think this is gonna make me change? It.
That's the
It's just
same for
that
me. I
sort of
was
thing.
made
It's
fun of
just,
for my weight, but I was on the opposite end of the spectrum.
yeah. It's just that sort of thing to, and especially when it comes to that area of, the bullying. Yeah, it hurts, but that you get numb to. When it comes to like losing a family member, nothing can really, withstand that type of pain. Yeah,
No.
it hurts, and eventually it'll get easier and easier, of course, as people tend to disappear from life. Sure. But it's still
But it
gonna
shouldn't have
hurt.
to be that
It's
way.
still
It's
gonna
gonna
hurt
hurt.
like hell. Especially since it was, my grandmother. I was raised by the woman. Literally. From birth to when she passed away, she has been with me. She and my grandfather were my biggest supporters. They were the ones by my side every year in school, every little, little sport thing I wanted to do, every little hobby I took into, that sort of thing. They were behind me, supporting me in some sort of way. And everything I know about, reality and being out there in the real world, I learned from them. I didn't learn it from school. I learned from watching them. I know, for the most part, how to drive and stuff like that. Uh, I don't know who this person is, but hi. But, uh, it comes down to those points of, I I know for the most part how to drive. I have never been behind the wheel for more than like I think as of now a total of maybe 6 hours. I've been behind the wheel of a vehicle, but I know how to handle traffic stops,
You know,
that sort of
for the
thing. I
most
know how
part,
to
you know
handle
how
them
to.
things because I've watched both of them drive. I've seen how it's done. I'm like, okay, so I understand this for the most part. I have a mental understanding of it, but I don't have the muscle memory for it. I know how to
And it
handle,
doesn't come
finance.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's just as I said, my own fear of doing it. But it's to a point of, when it comes to that sort of stuff. When it comes to like, I learned everything I know about finances from them. I've sort of learned how to do my taxes from them. I know how to handle a checkbook, a savings account, a checkings account, all that kind of stuff. I've learned from them. I know how to cook meals because there's a lot of times I watched my grandma while she made, dinner and lunch and breakfast because I watched her. I know how to, handle myself in a real world situation where I had to cook for myself instead of just using a microwave all the time. And I learned, a lot of the craftsmanships of, like putting stuff together, renovating a house. I learned that from my grandfather because he's been doing a lot of renovating his entire life in almost any house I've ever been in with him. I've learned from him. He taught me how to do most of it. And,
Right.
most people would think it's kind of unusual to, thank you, Zeltro. I'm glad I'm a god to you. But, it when it comes, as I said, when it boils down to it, most people think it's weird for me to, live with my grandparents, and most people think the only reason I live with them is because they take care of my insurance. No, at any point in time in my life, all I had to do was say I want to go live with my mother, and they would have let me go, and that would have been the end of it. But I made a mental choice that I want to stay here with them because they've been my caretakers. I have the best bond with them that I have. When it comes to like my older brother, I'm not going to say his name for multiple reasons. There was a point in time where he felt that my mother had, quote unquote, abandoned him when she never did. He had every choice, every chance in life to just say, I want to go live here, and that would have been the end of it. And he would be living with her, which he is now. My sister went back and forth between living with my mother and living with my grandparents, and that was, the whole thing. But me, I've been with my grandparents my whole life. I mean, I've gone to visit my mother, and it was usually on weekends or spring break or some time over summer or stuff like that. But it was
For the
my own.
most part, it's been your
It's been
grandparents,
my grandparents that I've been
and
standing next to. Like, and when I graduated high school, and my grandmother passed away, it really, it knocked the air out of me because I'm like, shit, this just happened. Now it's my choice whether I need to step up, and do my best to try and, fill the void that my grandmother had left, which is impossible for me to do, especially for my grandfather. I've done the best I can, but I'm still trying, don't get me wrong. But it it was the thing, as you said, it's either I need to man up or I can just sit here and, do nothing. And I chose that, like, hey, I need to man up. It's my turn to step up. These two have taken care of me my entire life, almost 22 years now. It's my turn to step up and do the best I can to repay them for the things that they've done. Of course, as all, mothers and fathers or grandparents would be, they won't accept monetary things to, or material things to repay it. They want, you know, for you to be there for them or someone in the family,
or be there for
pay it forward,
yourself
pay
to
it
take care of
forward type of thing.
yourself.
They want to see you succeed. As my grandpa, it was one of the things that he said. When it comes to family, it's either you raise your kids so you can spoil your grandkids, or you can spoil your kids and you'll have to raise your grandkids. See, what the thing is, my grandparents did both. They raised their kids and they raised their grandkids for the most part, except for my little brother, which that's a whole other fucking story that I'm not getting into. It it's a point of they made the choice of, like, we need to step in because I don't know if I ever said this, but my biological father died before I was ever born. I never met the man in my life. I've seen a picture of him, but that's it. I've never known truly who he is, other than his name was Clark, and I've seen a picture of him. That was the end of it. There was another guy that came into my life. I'm gonna leave his name at a. We'll call him Joey because I don't want to put his real name out there. He was a complete douchebag. He was. He wasn't really abusive, but he was an ass.
He had his own ways of being a fucking dick.
Yeah, his own special ways that were, you can tell that he wanted, he was always trying to
He
show that he's
wanted,
the dominant figure within a home or something like that, sure. But he was a
yeah.
drunkard and he's an asshole. My mother, moved on from him, and then a man that I now call father or dad, I will name him, his name is Kelly. You've heard him once before, and I don't think you've ever actually met him in person.
No, but I've heard him. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, he came onto
Yeah,
the mic, said the one thing, sure, but he's the one that he stepped in. He had his own kids. I have a step sister and a step brother. One, I'm more than happy to say, one's named Ashley, the other one's named KJ. They're both, they're offsets of our family. We don't really talk to them very much. I used to talk to my stepbrother a lot, and I looked up to him quite a bit. Excuse me. But when it came to him, marrying my mother, there wasn't any, thoughts about it. He stepped in, and he wasn't, stepdad, or we didn't call him by his first name. He stepped in and he started taking care of us, so he immediately became dad. There wasn't no, stepdad, first name or Mister This. It was dad. That was end of discussion. But it's just, that sort of thing with my family that I guess I've been lucky with so far. I've never had a problem
yeah.
with
I've
any
had
of them.
step parents. My dad remarried technically, even though in the state of Washington, he shouldn't legally be able to, because my mom and dad were
Yeah,
married in
yeah,
the state of Washington, and they've never divorced. But
yeah.
oh, is that Dwayne?
Dwayne, you good? I think that was him adjusting. I really do think he's asleep.
Probably. But anyway,
But
so like, my dad's remarried. My mom. I have 4 step siblings.
yeah,
So
I have a pretty damn big family. I have. Let me think. Of course, there's my grandpa. There's my sister, my now brother, that is married to my sister. I think you've met him potentially.
Yeah, I've met him.
Real tall,
He
real
was
tall
there.
guy. Yeah.
He,
There's of
well,
course
we
my
didn't
niece and
exchange a lot
nephew.
of words. He just kind of came in, had a few
No,
words, and
he's
took off.
super quiet, especially towards me. He's super quiet around me. I mean, yeah, I still call him my brother, but I've never, I never formed an
He's your
actual.
brother-in-law.
Well, yeah, he's a brother-in-law, but with me, once you're, married to someone in my family, you're accepted as part of the family. So I'm not going to call you brother-in-law or that sort of thing. I'm going to
Bro,
call you brother, that sort of thing. Like you're
thank
still
you.
part of the family. But as I was saying, I've never, I never formed like an actual, brotherly bond with him because, I mean, I've seen him, of course, for the years that he's been up here. The 2 years, I think. I think it's 2 years. I don't
It's
remember,
been about 2 years, maybe.
but other than that, I've seen beforehand when they were just dating and stuff like that. I saw him maybe 3, 4 times in total, and I never spoke to him. I knew his name, but that was it. And that's never been much. I mean, we've talked about things. I talked with him about music and stuff like that. I don't know if I told you, but he's a musician. He's a real
No,
good
I
musician.
didn't
He's a
know.
damn good one. And but I mean, other than that, that's where our conversations usually end. There's not much talking and stuff like that. He has a better bond with my little brother and my older brother, and my grandpa more than he does with me, which is perfectly fine. Me and my sister didn't used to have much of a bond that well whatsoever until they moved up here. I've spoken to her more. I'm able to hold a better conversation with her, that sort of thing. Me and my older brother, we had a pretty decent bond for a while, and then once he moved in with my mother and I stayed with my grandparents, it just kind of drifted apart. I still
You got that distance between y'all.
yeah,
Not like
and it didn't
emotionally, but you
it
got
didn't
that
put like
physical
a wedge or
distance.
anything like that. I still look up to my brother because he's a damn good person. Don't get me wrong whatsoever. But it comes, and with other people like my little brother, I have an okay bond with him. It's easier to hold a conversation with him because he enjoys the same things I do. He likes music. He likes playing video games. He's able to get into the more conversations and stuff like that. But there's only one person in my family that I am truly not able to hold a conversation with because it usually ends up turns into an argument and it becomes heated and someone gets angry and we that's the end of the conversation, and that's my mother. I can't hold no, barely anyone with the occasional person is able to hold a full on conversation without her pulling out a knife or some shit like that. Not an actual
That's my
knife,
dad.
but trying to I'm always right, that sort of thing. She's gotten better about it. Don't get me wrong, she has gotten much better about it, but it's that sort of thing to it's what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word for it, but she's always she's got a bit of an ego, is the best way I can say it.
Yeah, no, that's the same for my
Yeah,
dad. My dad's gotten
she's a
better, but
lot like, in a way when it comes to that sort of thing. She's a lot like your father, which is unfortunate. But I mean, uh, especially when it comes to the relationship between her and my little brother. She's kind of driven a wedge between the two of them. I mean, there's no privacy between the two of them in sort of way. Like this, my mother gives my little brother no privacy, doesn't allow him to do shit, so on and so forth, which has driven a wedge. Which is why I've told you that he wants to come and move up here to try and get better at life and try to get on with things. Because she's always trying to shield him, yada yada yada, so on and so forth.
this is why I left my great grandma's.
Yeah, she's always trying to shield them and stuff like that. But then she realizes that I'm doing fine. But then when I try to hold a conversation, she tries to give me a life lecture where I need to change diet because I'm not quote unquote healthy enough or something like that, or I'm not doing things correctly, or I need to try and put as she put it, a bug in my brother is up here's brother having a stroke. My brother like in a to try and see if I can't get my truck back, that sort of thing, so I can get my license and move on with my own life. When she doesn't realize that I'm perfectly content for the time being. I'm able to,
You're doing well for yourself for the time being.
I mean, if I wanted, I wanted to get a job, I can get a work from home job if I wanted to. There's a lot of stuff I can do from home and make money. It's not hard. It's just that I'm trying to stay more focused on my family and, my friends and stuff like that before, I'm worried about my own well-being. It's just, I've never really worried about it. I've never really seen myself as in my eyes, in my own mind, for, I don't know why, it's just I've never seen myself an important character that much. I've seen everyone else around me is more important, so I'm trying to put their well-being before mine. Stuff like that. And it just kind of trickles down from there. Like, when I really get to thinking about it, I'm not much of, I mean, me being getting into more depressed subject and stuff like that, I'm not really much of anything. What do you think about it? And I think about it, and I'm being honest with myself here. I don't have any particular skills. I'm not really particularly good at anything, for the most part. I'm not good with people. I'm not, I'm not good at, counseling people the best that I can do to the best of my ability and give them, best advice I can, but it usually never really goes into, holds water in anything. I was never particularly good in anything in school, for the most part. Never really did outstanding in anyone's sort of subject or anything like that. I'm just kind of this average guy that's kind of around. Doing,
Yeah,
just trying to go day by day, just trying to live life. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not much of an important character in most people's lives. Other than, of course, yours, like y'all guys and my families, sure. But when it comes to other people, most people ended up, especially up here, except for like the exception of like John and Quentin, they kind of just, everyone else just kind of used maybe for to better themselves. There was a couple of
like
girls that I knew that one of them, I will quote her as her name being Catherine because I don't want to say her real name. The only reason she kept me around is because I did flirt a lot with a lot of people. I just did it because it was funny to me, and I was always messing around. And that's the only reason she kept me around is because I did that, which made her feel better about herself. There was another girl that, because I always had, I always brought like a soda or some shit like that to school, and I always forgot about it. She's the one that usually took it, so she's, she just kind of used me for free shit. That so on and so forth, that sort of thing. There are other people, guys and girls alike, that use me to get to somebody else, for me to put in a good word so they can date this, do this, so on and so forth, that sort of thing.
Be with this person.
Yeah, that sort of thing. That's just kind of where I was. I was just kind of this middleman in most people's lives. I'm just kind of, was always kind of that person, and still am for the most part in some people. That I'm just kind of, when they're bored, they can just kind of, throw me aside, and I end up being forgotten. Which at this point, I'm used to. Yeah, that's why that's why that my circles are so
with people who.
Yeah, that's why I've kept my circle extremely tight. There's only certain people. It takes some time before I know I start to trust somebody, so on and so forth, before I let them in. But I'm like, all right, doesn't look like you're gonna do anything bad, so I'm sure it'll be fine. And it's very rare for that to happen. Like what happened with Lindsay when I first met her.
You guys didn't even know her. She didn't even want to talk.
It was extremely rare for me to like at a snap of snap of the fingers that immediately let her into the circle. But I knew you, which you said she was your best friend, and then I knew Corbin, and she's his girlfriend. So I was just like, okay, so she can't be that bad of a character. And then we started talking more and more, and we got comfortable. And I was like, all right, no big deal. And she was, part of the family now. And I see her as family. She's no longer just a friend. Even though I've only seen, I've seen photos of her, of course, and I've only spoken to her through a voice chat type of thing. But I still see her.
Gaming friendships and relationships. You don't see physical appearances. You meet the person, and then you decide if you like them or not. And that's the thing that I like about gaming. That's the thing that's never going to change. That's like the number one thing. Because I meet people online. I met John and Quentin. They're two good friends of mine. never met him. I don't even know fucking Quentin calls himself black. I don't know if he's a black dude. Like, I don't know
No,
who the hell he is.
I've told you
John.
time and time again. John is white, has brown
Yeah, no,
curly
I
hair.
know.
He's about a foot taller than I am. Quentin is, I think, about half a foot taller than me. He's black, and
Oh no, I know. Yeah, no, I know.
he's,
But like,
you know, that sort of thing. But, you know, when Lindsay first came around, once she got comfortable, I didn't see her as a friend. I saw her as more family. As of today, as of now, I
exactly,
can
that's the same
confirm
for
that I
me.
see her as a sister. As of now, she's part of, you know, my family and our family. She's more of a sister than anything now, whereas like you, Dwayne, Quentin, John, and LaShawn are brothers. Lexi's, you know, sister and stuff like that, so on and so forth. It comes down to a point to where it takes, you know, nowadays it takes quite a bit to earn, you know, my respect and, you know, my trust, believe it or not. It takes a
I
lot.
don't know. Same for me. It takes a lot for me.
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot for me to earn someone to earn respect and trust from me, merely because of what's happened in my past. That I am. Don't get me wrong. I am afraid of, you know, being hurt because it stings. Don't get me wrong. Hurts like hell, especially when it comes to like, you know, the whole dating thing. It stings like hell when somebody, you know, fucks with your feelings because you're like, oh, this person's not bad. How could they be bad? Look, I know them well enough to where we're together like this, and then they do end up hurting, and you're like, well, shit, that sort of thing.
No, like I dated the
Exactly,
wrong
Zelcher. I'm glad
person
you
for
agree with me.
3 years.
It,
So it's
you
more or
know,
less like
and I'm.
if you
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
if you when you get, especially when you don't know somebody, like when you so like I introduced you to Lindsay and you accept them into the circle, you have to be careful nowadays because everybody nowadays wants to use one another. But
Yeah,
when you
they
get
have their
people
own agendas.
like people who genuinely care for other people, like
It's very
Lindsay
rare.
constantly is asking me if you guys hate her because
No,
sometimes
it when it
things
comes to
happen
hatred,
and it's
it takes a lot for me to truly, you know, full
exactly,
on
and I
hate
explained it to
someone.
her.
I may dislike someone, or I may dislike someone's opinion, so on and so forth, to where I won't actually talk with them in some sort of way. Sure, but most of the time, if you have a different opinion, you're still going to be my
I'm gonna
friend because,
respect it.
as I said, you're entitled to the opinion. It's your opinion, your thoughts. I can't, you know, force anything upon you, and I'm not going to. But
Like me and
it
Dwayne have
takes
different views on The
so
Last of Us, yet we're still
goddamn
friends.
much.
Like,
Yeah, that's a really good example. And
and for
another one,
me, and one
uh,
person who I shall not name, will call him uh, what
it
Garcia.
sure.
But like, whenever you out of nowhere just say "nah, fuck you" to someone I deeply care about, you immediately lose my respect. So like,
Yeah,
that's the thing. So like,
that
whenever you interfere with me, interfere with the people that you talk to every day, you just decide on a slim like, "nah, fuck you" out of nowhere for no reason.
well,
That's the
see,
problem.
when it comes to that kind of stuff, for the most part, you can do whatever the fuck you want to me. I don't
Gotta
care.
have a fucking reason though.
You can, no, not even like if even if you don't truly have like a truly valid reason, you can mess with me, you can berate me, hound me, actually, you know, physically confront me if it comes down to it. But in my eyes, if it comes to the people I care about, my friends and my family, I draw the line there, and that's when I'm stepping up, and you're gonna wish that you wouldn't have done this. I care my own well-being and my own physical safety in my eyes and my mind count for a lot less than the people that I'm, you know, trying to look after, my friends and family. My friends and family come first before me. That's the way I've always seen things, and that's how I
That's how
intend
I
for them
see
to
it.
say. Because I mean, when if I'm being again, if I'm being honest, I honestly would not be where I am today without multiple different family members and without you guys. I would not be here.
Neither would I.
I would
Because when it
honestly, I
came
would
down to it,
probably like if I would still be this quiet, like, you know, shy, depressed dude that was still just trying to get by in life, just trying to day by day. I wouldn't have anyone to talk to, and I probably wouldn't be, you know, at this point in time, right here and now, I wouldn't have anyone to talk to whatsoever. I'd be on my own. I'd probably only have, like, you know, single player things to do, and just kind of living my life on autopilot more than, you know, trying to do things manually, just going for it and taking a few risks, that sort of thing. And when it comes to taking risks, like there was a time in my life where I literally said I would never touch, alcohol or
Same.
cigarettes or anything like that in my life. I vowed to it, but then I was just like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I mean, of course,
And
there are
yes,
horrible repercussions to doing the things you're doing, sure, but
I
there are far
regret starting
worse things.
smoking. I regret starting
Yeah,
smoking, don't
easily.
get me wrong, because, like, when it comes to my work, like, as a manager, I get a lunch. I'm supposed to take a lunch, but, I
Never
mean,
get the
I got
chance
so
to.
much work. I'm not going to if I don't, like, desperately need to. And with
Yeah,
me smoking, I don't get as much done as I could get done.
yeah, and I understand that. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm like addicted to the smoking or whatever. I do. Don't get me
I
wrong. I
am.
do. I mean, I can literally just quit cold turkey and just throw the shit away, and it'd be like nothing ever happened, sort of thing.
I
It's just
can't. I
whatever.
wish I could, but I
I
can't.
mean, you
Like,
can. It
I
just you
fucking
just
hate
need to find a
everything.
different thing to take over the habit, that sort of thing. But that's a whole other story, and conversation for a different day. But excuse me. When it comes to the drinking and stuff like that, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a dangerous thing. It can lead to many different consequences, many different bad situations.
It
Especially,
led to a year-long rift between me and my dad.
yeah, easily, yeah, just like that, it can throw a wedge between family members or friends, sure, but I mean, I know well enough how to handle, everything. I know that most of the time when somebody's like speaking different things while they're drunk, most of the time they don't mean it. They're just saying it because they're drunk. And at this point, I mean, alcohol's honestly not going to hurt that much, quote
As long as you
unquote.
don't drink too much at one
No,
point, then you'll be okay.
you'll be fine. I mean, yeah, it's made to, I guess, for
It's called
entertainment purposes,
spirits
I
for a
guess.
reason.
Yeah, it's meant to have fun, but again, that's a whole other fucking conversation to get into. And shit, I lost my train of thought again. God damn it.
Haven't you been out for like 2 days?
Thereabouts, but I'm honestly not tired, so you know. Where was I?
I don't want to go to work tomorrow. Um,
As I said,
tomorrow's gonna
I mean,
suck. I should
you have a
not take
choice, but
nights.
you know.
No, I don't. That's the thing.
Well, technically you do, but
Technically,
in your own heart and
yes,
mind,
but
you don't.
well, I don't.
Because you
I
know you
can't
need to
afford
go
to
into
do this
work
job.
because you need to,
I got
pay
work
bills and
to
shit like
do.
that. But anyways, shit, what the fuck was the conversation we were just in? I lost my train of thought completely. It just went out the goddamn window. Where the?
How much do you want to bet Dwayne's gonna wake up tomorrow and text us, be like, "Where'd you go? Like,
We
why
were
didn't you wake me up?"
we tried.
Like, bitch, you fucking tried.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. We can. We're gonna speak on an earlier subject of like opposing opinions. Uh, shit. When it comes to me and Dwayne, we have opposing opinions on many different things. Both of us, but the one thing we do agree on is that we choose to be blunt more than trying to sugarcoat things for people. There's
Be
no point.
honest and get
Yeah,
shit out of the way.
if you're blunt and you're honest and you're
Straightforward.
straightforward with people, uh, you become a more trustworthy person to bring. Thank you, Zeltro, for reminding me. We were talking about alcohol, smoking, and work, but uh,
And
shit. Oh, if we're blunt with things and stuff like that, you're straightforward. I'm gonna look to you for an opinion more than somebody that likes to sugarcoat things. Because when you sugarcoat things, in my eyes, you're just setting a person up to get hurt later on.
yes,
Like,
that's me at work. Like, that's part of the reason why so many people like working with me is because whenever I go up to them, like, whenever I get a new person coming in and they send them to me for training, I'm always like, hey, look, I'm gonna tell you once, like, if you got a question, ask me. If you do have a question, you don't ask me, I'm gonna get mad. But if you
don't
ask
ask
me,
later
you
type
can
of
ask
thing.
me 100 times, and I'm not gonna get mad. I promise.
As long as you
But
ask, that sort of thing. It's not going to be
and
that
then if I'm
sort of,
and
school teacher type of thing to where they tell you to ask questions, but then when you do ask questions, they're going to be like, why weren't you paying attention, sort of thing.
exactly, so like I'm not like I can explain something to you 100 times, but if you're still confused and you have a question, I'd rather you ask me the questions and get it right than get it wrong, and I have to go behind you. So that being said, if I'm ever a dick, like I tell them, I straight up, like even cursing, like if I'm ever a dick, man, just fucking tell me.
100%.
Don't hide it
Like,
from me. If I'm ever a
that's
douchebag to
that.
you,
Yeah, that
say something. Don't
was
hold it
like
back.
the main
I need you
thing
to
of
tell me.
that was the main thing of when that whole thing with me and Dwayne happened. I don't like it when people start talking about me behind my back. I fucking hate it. If you
Me
have
too.
something to say, speak up. It's best, in my eyes, it's best to get it taken care of right then and there. Confront the problem, do your best to fix it. If you can't, leave it, and that's the end of it. Sugarcoating things just makes things hurt so much more than just being blunt. Like, the best example I can think of being blunt is if, let's say, thinking of an example here.
Like when your friend is trying to tell you that your significant other is cheating, like you can't just sugarcoat around. You'll be like, "Hey man, she ain't good for you. She's cheating," or like, "Hey,
Yeah,
she's not good for you.
yeah,
She's cheating."
that sort of thing. I'd rather somebody tell me like their honest opinion of somebody that I'm with or something like that. If they honestly don't feel like this person is not a good match for me, I mean, I'm gonna take it to heart, and be like, all right, so I might need to be careful, or I need to be
And that's
careful
why
because I might get hurt if I'm not paying attention or oblivious to what's going on around me.
I respect Lindsay so much, because she will
Easily,
straight up
yeah.
tell me, she'll tell anybody, like, "Hey,
That was,
look, that
you
person you're
know,
with, they're dumb. Don't
that
don't
was
fuck
one of
with
the
them."
things with my grandmother. Any girl I had brought home, if like after she had left, if my grandmother didn't like her, I usually either cut it off the next day, or I'd eventually lead up to letting them down carefully because they might be a bit more fragile than I think they are. My grandmother was one of the best, like you know uh, people to
Judgment
be
of
able, yeah, judge
characters.
of character. Thank you. Towards strangers and stuff like that. When it came to when her first like meeting Nick and his family, she was like, yeah, these. She was super friendly around them. She accepted them pretty easy. So I was like, all right, so it seems he's chill. I'm okay, and I enjoyed being around them. So I was like, all right, looks like I've got a neighbor to talk to, that sort of thing. She enjoyed the company of Dwayne. She always liked how I spoke of you, Lexi, Dwayne, all of you guys. So
It's a
she's
shame
like,
I never met her.
yeah. But I can tell you right now, she would have enjoyed your company, that sort of thing. And it was to a point to where I looked to her, if I went, especially up here when I moved up here, I had to go to a new school. I spoke of a few different people that I thought about, trying, make friendships with, and if they didn't sound right, she would be outright with me. They're like, "Nah, you shouldn't hang around this person." Like, fair enough, and that was the end of the conversation towards it. And I'd move on, and I wouldn't speak to this person anymore because she didn't like them very much. And I've always trusted, and done my best to, when a new person or a stranger comes around and something of the sort, I always, try to, channel her mindset and be like, okay, could this person, be detrimental to me or the people around me, or is this person going to be okay to be around? Will they, help me in life? Be more of a rock and an anchor and another tie to, happiness in life than anything else. It was, just sort of those things.
Yeah. Instead of,
Just kind of going
like,
on guesswork.
especially nowadays, you have to be so fucking careful
Oh,
with who you talk to.
extremely, because of what's going on. Yeah, especially nowadays, everyone's got an agenda, and they're just trying to use people as more stepping stones to get up higher in their own lives, without realizing that they're hurting the people that they're stepping on.
Right. So, like, see, the thing that gets me is whenever people lie to further their agenda. Like, I'm gonna help you as best I can. I don't expect the same thing, but I expect common decency.
uh, yeah, when it comes to that, if like I find out that you've lied to my face, like straight up lied to my face, you've lost my respect, and it's gonna take a shit ton of work for you to get my trust back, and I mean a shit ton of work. Because now you've lied to me. I don't know if you're telling the truth or not later on. That sort of thing. So now you're, as I said, you're gonna have to work for it to get back to a point to where, like, hey, you've got my
And who
trust
knows
again.
if I could trust you again.
Yeah,
Like,
easily. I mean, if
I
it's
know
a
it's a
big
very
lie
different
to like to a
situation.
point to where like, you know, it's like if it's a significant other or something like that lying about whether she's having an affair or something like that, you're not getting my trust back. Because I've trusted you to be my significant other to a point to where I'd give you my time, my compassion, all that kind of stuff to open myself up, and you go and do this with someone else. How do I know that you're not gonna do it again even though you say you won't, type of thing.
Like, that was me with Andrea.
Yeah.
I dated her for 3 years, and in the time that we dated, she cheated on me. I don't remember. I think she cheated on me twice, but I was forgiven the first time. The second time, I was in boot camp. I said, "Nah, fam, I'm out."
I'm gone. Because I mean, if you'd gone, you were still with her and you gone to into the military like full time and all that kind of stuff, who's to say she wouldn't just do it again? That sort of thing.
And who would be the wiser? Like,
Exactly.
so like, she lost my trust, and she has. I'll give it to her. She has apologized. She has tried to patch things up, but the thing is that she's already betrayed my trust twice now,
Twice.
and I'm not really willing to give it up again.
No, fuck that. That's a horrible thing to do. See, when it comes to relationships, it's a very finicky thing when it comes to like dating relationships. It is extreme, especially nowadays. It is a hell of a thing to deal with. See, my first girlfriend, I won't name her name, but I'm sure you know who I'm speaking of.
I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah. See, my relationship with her, it was the reason it got so fucked was my own fault. It was my first relationship. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was being a dumbass because I looked around, socially instead of, towards my family and stuff like that for advice on what to do. I looked towards more the people that, the couples that were in school and like what they were doing. And I ended up, it ended up turning into one of those off and on relationships, and I admittedly fucked it up more than anything. It was my fault alone that nothing, nothing got serious. And when it came to later relationships, with the others that I won't name them either. You know, a certain Australian. We'll leave it at that. It wasn't the point of I didn't like her or anything. I did enjoy the relationship. Don't get me wrong, but I look towards what happened, the things she's done in her past, towards a little bit, and the things she might do in the future. She was she's always the one that we saw. She had like multiple boyfriends in some sort of way, and she was always after sex and shit like that. So I was just like, I don't want this. So if you could be kind enough to slow it down a bit, we'd be fine. And she was okay with that, but then at the back of my mind, it kept, clouding my mind. Like, what if there's another guy that's behind my back that I don't
And
even
that's a
know
killer
about?
right there.
Because
That is a
now,
killer.
and it's putting fear into my mind. Like, I don't know, am I gonna get hurt or that sort of thing? But then a
Or
guy
should
that I
I
had
trust
met,
this person?
that
Like,
a guy that I had actively been friends with, and I mean, we spoke every day in class. We sat next to her, and he was the one that was, he was a real one because he told me like, hey, she's been like with two other dudes behind your back. I just want you to know before you get hurt and find out the hard way. I was like, all right, and he told me the names of the other two guys, and I had asked them about her, and they're like, yeah, we've done this, so on and so forth recently. I was like, all right, fair enough, and that's where it ended. I've never been cheated on in my life. I have never been cheated on. Which is lucky, technically. I haven't been cheated on. It's one of those things to where, as I said, it's finicky. Because it could be one way, you think it's one way, but really it's, a whole other fucking direction. You could think things are going well, you're happy, things are, perfect. You're like, this is gonna be fine, and then it's a whole other fucking direction once masks are off and you start revealing things, all that kind of jazz. But you know, as I've never really, been too trustworthy towards people, especially after recent relationships. Merely because of me, I don't trust myself to be in a relationship because I'm afraid I'm gonna fuck it up again, or I'm going to get hurt to a point to where I can't do anything. Yeah, exactly, Zeltro. Every action I do, there's a reaction to it. Exactly, easily. It's I guess as I said, it's one of those things that's in my own mind. That's like it's a fear that I have that I'm going to fuck something up. I'm going to hurt somebody without knowing it, or I'm just going to be oblivious to something, and then I'm going to get hurt later on.
So that's like me, like right now. I am solely focused right now on building my life. So like I've had options to go and get relationships, and
Yeah.
I've had a chance here and there. But like I need to focus on myself. It's not the fact that I don't want a relationship. I do. Like I wouldn't mind it. Like hey, if the right
Everyone
person comes
wants some
around,
type of significant other in their life. Everyone wants some type of love in their life. It's that sort of thing.
like
It's just
I've had my chance. I've had the person I've wanted for a while, and I've been betrayed, and I
yeah.
don't want to be a part of someone else's downbringing or my own downbringing, and
You
like
don't
so
want to be
I'm just separating
dragged down with
myself from
them.
the
That sort of thing.
right. So I'm separating myself from the problem before it is a problem, and eventually one day I'll get back out there. But for the time being,
Sure.
nah.
It's well, I was gonna say something. Shit.
What time is it? Oh, it's
when
4 o'clock. Okay. Fuck.
well, before you go, but it comes as I was going to say. The one thing I see when it comes to relationships is uh, it's
It's
more
a
fear.
two-part thing.
It's a team effort. Don't get me wrong. It is when there is no I or me. It is when it's an actual relationship. I and me become we and all that kind of stuff, so on and so forth. But when it comes to relationships, there's a lot of fear in my mind because I'm not exactly the most perfect person.
Yes. And then for me, I'm not the most stable of individuals, so like I should not
No,
have to
neither
let
am
someone
I.
else do that.
No, it comes to a point. Well, it's the fear. When I said fear, it has nothing to do with me dragging somebody down with me, that sort of thing. It's a fear that I fear that once I get out in there, into the the whole dating scene, that sort of thing, I'm afraid that I'm gonna get hurt a lot worse than anything else. I'm terrified of it because, of course, I'm not exactly the pinnacle of a man whatsoever in many different ways, and I'll leave that to your imagination to decipher however you want. I'm not, as I said, I'm not very particular good at anything, so it's just sort of those things that I know that I'm not exactly going to be able to. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess satisfy the needs of a significant other easily. We'll leave it at that. And as far as I can tell with previous relationships, it ends up being that sort of thing to where it'll be that thing uh, where fear is
Sure,
gonna
one day it'll happen, but
it'll happen,
for the
but
time being, you have to focus on yourself and get ready
it's not
for it.
even me focusing on myself. I don't need to focus on myself because, as far as I'm concerned, I'm okay. At least I
Right.
think I'm okay. But I mean, yeah, I understand. I do have to build a life and build up some stuff before any of that starts happening, so I can actually support someone. Sure, but it comes down to I don't know. I'm afraid of the significant other having their own agenda. Is the best way I can describe it.
Right. So
Having not
you have
being
the issue
loyal.
of trusting
Your
someone
fear
else.
of trust towards someone else and them not being loyal, especially nowadays, because you don't see a lot of loyalty in anyone, men and women alike. And that's the thing I'm afraid of, because I'm afraid to get into it and then immediately be betrayed within, like, first week or month of everything that's going on. That's my fear. But at the same time, I'm afraid to get into it and stuff like that. But at the same time, I also am genuinely terrified of being alone. I am terrified of it. Of, ending up alone where there's, not really anyone to, remember me by. That sort of thing. Which I guess, in all honesty, I don't really have to remember, like, worry about that part all that much. But, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's
Dwayne has 48 comments on this video.
it's probably from Lexi, mainly. But, it's, me mixed with, like, like, not wanting to get into it, but at the same time being afraid of being alone. It's a very conflicting thing that's going on in my own mind, which throws different thoughts back and forth, which of course leads to a very mentally unstable person.
Right.
And it all boils down to that. And I mean that comes from many different things. Like, there are a lot of times where I want to be alone, like, and try to, get my head on straight, make sure I'm still doing okay. But at the same time, I feel like if I'm left alone, especially if I'm in one of those episodes or states of mind, that I might do something that I'm going to regret. Genuinely. Because, I mean, when it comes to my family, no one in my family has ever dealt with the things I've dealt with. I mean, I'm not saying that I haven't horrible. I have nowhere near
But
have the
you've
worst
got
of
more
life on earth.
experience than most people in your family.
In my family, nobody's been made fun of for what they look like. Nobody's been bullied. No one's ever had to deal with that. Nobody's fought depression the way I have. When I first tried to open up to my grandparents about it, they just told me it's a phase. It'll pass. I don't think so. Honestly,
It's a phase for you, but not for other people.
no. I was like, yeah, it's a phase for them because they'll eventually forget about it. But for me, it's something that I'm still dealing with, and I've put it out there to multiple different people. Even Vi, I've spoken to her about it. Like, honest to God, have attempted suicide before multiple times. It's you know it's a dark place to be in. Don't get me wrong, and especially when I go in, when I'm saying episodes, it'll be those times where I just disappear. I won't be online for a few days. I won't answer any type of text or anything of the sort. I just disappear for a couple of days, and then I'll be back, and I'm usually quieter until I work back up to that normal comfortable area that I'm in. Those are those, states and days that I'm in that state of mind. I'm in my own head, fighting back and forth with conflicting ideas of what certain people feel and so on and so forth, who I am to others, degrading my own self, cutting myself down as if, that sort of thing. It's you would think that I would be able to, I have Vi. You probably don't remember because it was a very quick conversation, but it's most people would think that I'd be able to ask for help. Honestly, I've never asked for help because I'm afraid to. Because what I've seen is that when people that are in my state of mind, when they ask for help, they usually have those people turn their backs on them, that sort of thing, and then they're left more alone than they were before, than they felt. And I've always been terrified to ask for it. For that reason and that reason alone, because I'm afraid if I do bring it up and I open up about it, people are going to have a different view on me, and they're not going to want to be around me very often. That sort of thing. And, in all honesty, this is the first time I've ever brought it up whatsoever, especially now considering it's now public, and I've ever brought it up to you. I've spoken lightly on it with Lexi, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's just a personal thing that, in all honesty, I don't think will ever disappear from my life.
No, that's why you have friends like me, Lindsay, Corbin,
Yeah, I mean, I
Dwayne,
believe it or
Jesse.
not, I mean, my family doesn't seem to understand this, but I count on you guys for a lot of strength. Trust me.
No,
If
I do the same thing,
if
and I get
you
shit for it from my dad all the time. It's like, well, I mean, where the fuck have you been?
if you like if I'm being honest, if I didn't, hadn't have met all of you or anything like that, if you want my honest opinion, I probably wouldn't be breathing right now. In
I'd
all
be about
honesty,
the same.
I would probably be dead. And when it comes to the whole, very, I guess, controversial topic of suicide, I've, attempted different methods.
Down the
The
street method, all that nonsense.
yeah, the down the street. I've ropes. I've gone to the hospital for ODing before. Uh, Many different things. It's just
And so that's sort of a message to, like, not just to you, but for like everyone who's watching, because like I've been down many roads. Many of the people who is in our assault brigade has been down many roads. Almost
yeah.
everybody in our assault brigade has been kicked out, has been left for
Oh,
nothing, has been kind of cast or outcast. So stick by the people that you love, and that doesn't
100%
necessarily
easily.
mean your family. Your family are just blood people. Or your
The
relatives are just blood. Your family are who you choose to open up to and who to talk to
as
and
this
who
as the
support you.
saying goes, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which is blood is thicker than water, which means uh, your
Your family
family.
are your
Yes, your
family.
family is your family, but the bonds you form through friendships and other meaningful ways are the ones that are probably going to stick with you longer than most, family relationships.
Like me and my dad, we barely talk, and he is has completely different views than mine, and it's to the point where we fight more than we talk. And it's not
Yeah.
because I don't love him; he's my dad. I still love him to
Well,
death, and I hope he does well. But I
yeah.
also cannot hold a conversation, so I talk to my friends. I live with one of my best friends. We share an apartment together. So when it comes to it, you just need to choose who you want to be around. You have to
Yeah.
pick your family. Your family is the people who you trust, who you know that are going to be your backbone whenever you break. Because there's been many times when I've been at my lowest, won't lie, and
Yeah,
I've needed help,
I'm
and I've
pretty sure
had
most people in our
assault
circle
brigade.
have been, that low, where you feel you're at
So
rock bottom. There's a lot of
alone.
times where I felt I was at rock bottom. Like I could literally not go any lower. But then
But
you
when
come to
you have your
realize there's another.
family,
But then
your
you realize that there's another ledge that you can genuinely drop off of, and if you do, you're more than likely not coming back.
and it's your family's job, your friends, your actual relatives. It depends on who you surround yourself with to get you out of that rock bottom, because you
It's
can't do it by
yeah,
yourself. You
because
never can.
when it comes to this kind of stuff, it's the best way I can describe it is think of it as a very deep, dark hole, and I mean a dark one.
And you need
You're
someone to throw you
it,
a rope, but it takes you
you're
yourself to climb out.
yeah, you're not going to be able to do it alone. In no way, shape, or form, in all honesty, are you going to be able to get out of that alone.
Someone's gonna need to shine a light, and someone's gonna need to throw a rope for you,
You're
or
going to
drop a
need,
ladder,
whether it be
and then it's
friends
gonna
or
take
family, you're going
yourself.
to need them.
It's gonna take yourself to grab that ladder, to grab that rope, and to follow the light.
Exactly.
But
It's
on that being said, though, I do have work in the morning. I have got to go.
yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah,
I
I think
got
this
to
is a good.
sleep.
Hold on, I wanna see here. How long is? How long is?
I think I streamed for an hour.
We've been
You
going
streamed
at
for like
this for almost 2 hours.
2 hours.
Just
Yeah.
about an hour and a half. At this,
Well,
and I've done nothing in this game except enter the hunter stream and sit here with my character staring at the screen and talking, because I've been more focused on trying to keep the conversation going than playing the fucking game.
bloodborne hunter stream moments, political moments.
This is the real hunter moments right here.
Man, I gotta get a capture card so I can start editing my videos.
Oh,
But on that note,
yeah. We gotta go. So we hope you enjoyed the lovely, hopefully some life advice we've given you. I hope, and other things. But we do must go. Excuse my stroke. I'm tired. We'll see you guys in the next one. Laters.